Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome to today's video, and today we are going over the top 3 bossing league starters for 3.20. Now, the reason a lot of people want to go a bossing league starter is they have this allure that you're able to do bosses and pretty much print currency. Like, everything you drop will be worth a lot. You could also go into selling boss carries on TFT or in global chat. And this allure is way too much for a lot of people to pass up, and I'm here to help you to find the best builds you could possibly play for bossing. And I truly believe that these 3 I chose are definitely going to get you the most bang for your buck, and you will be able to do the UBERS as fast as possible, although UBERS are probably not the most profitable boss to do early game. Now, the last few league starter videos I put out, top 3, I did try to split it up into best mapping builds, best endgame scaling builds, and this one's going to be the best bossing builds, because I really believe when you put out a video about the top 5 league starters, it doesn't really make sense for a lot of people. You could list out the strengths and weaknesses of the build, but a lot of people pretty much gloss over it, and they choose the build, and they find out that explosive arrow totems or something is not exactly the best playstyle and is not very good for mapping. Now, bossing is pretty much a guaranteed moneymaker, but it really relies on you to be fast at progressing through your Atlas. You could also sell Void Stone carries. I think Mavens were going for 50 chaos per person on the first day. Now, most bossing builds will not have the speed. You won't have the speed for mapping. It won't feel super fast. You won't be as fast as, say, like a premier mapping build like Poison's Concoction Occultist. So your main goal at League Start should primarily be bossing. Now, I would advise you, if you're going to play these builds, to try out maybe a practice run or maybe watch someone do a practice progression, because your Atlas progression clear speed means everything if you're going to do a bosser. And it really pains me to see when people choose to play a bossing build and then they can't really finish the campaign, or they don't really have that much time to play the game. And then by the time they get to bossing, the loot is barely that much profit. So you can see here, case in point, Legacy of Fury. This is going to be Maven. And this is a pretty common drop on Maven. I'm pretty sure it's like a 25-30% chance to drop. These pair of boots were going for like 4 or 5 divines on the first day. And by the time you got to like the second or third day, it was all the way down to like half a divine. So the price of the loot drops rapidly, really fast. Now, without further ado, we have the #1 build. And is this really a surprise? How did GGG not nerf this? So GGG did not nerf this because they said that Seismic Trap was not really played by that many people. But lastly, Seismic Trap was not really played because people didn't really know how much it was going to be nerfed. And it turns out the nerf did diddly squat. And in fact, in this league, in 3.20, Seismic Trap is actually buffed. And you can see here, Zizaret has deemed it the king of bossing, Seismic Trap Saboteur League Starter. Jung Rowan did in 3.19, 1 divine equals all UBERS. Please properly nerf the skill already. And guess what? They didn't nerf the skill. They actually buffed the skill. So this build is the hands down the best boss killer if your goal is to do UBERS as fast as possible. It's fast map progression, fast campaign, fast everything. Now, you received a buff because they removed the curse effect penalty on pinnacle bosses. So before, there was a 66% less curse effect. And they also added in a poison duration bug fix. So a lot of people who played, a lot of people who played Poison, Seismic Trap, they would take this node over here that would make it the Poison Mastery. So your poisons inflict damage, deal 20% faster. So that means you have like 20% less poison duration, but it was double dipping or something, and it was removing it twice. So it's pretty much going to get like a 20% buff in damage. Now that's pretty big. Not to mention, the Seismic Trap tree is perfect for taking Whispers of Doom. So you can get 2 curses since you path over here. And what this means is that you can run Temp Chains, and Temp Chains makes your poison expire slower. So it's pretty much a multiplier in damage. So between those 2 buffs, Seismic Trap is probably going to be doing like 30% or 40 or 50% more damage than last league. And I don't think GGG is actually going to fix the skill. So this build mainly scales off of gem level, poison duration, chaos damage over time multiplier, wither stacks, and area of effect. Now, you might be thinking a map clear is really bad. How are you just only going to rely on a cooldown trap? Well, you link Exsanguinate to the trap gem, and Exsanguinate is a pretty good clearing skill. It has a physical component. It's pretty good for poison based, And it also has built-in chain on the tendrils, so your map clear is not going to be that bad. Now for single target, however, we're going to be running blade trap. So you can see here single target. This is from Zizzarin's PoB, and I will be linking all of the PoBs down below in the description. So for blade trap is mainly used to proc wither debuffs on the boss, and it really allows you to really skyrocket your damage. Now the main benefit of this build is definitely the insane damage uptimes. Because it's a poison build, you pretty much throw out all your traps, and then you pretty much just wait for the boss to die while you can dodge all of the boss abilities. The number one downside though for this build is definitely if the boss moves around a lot. So say you put all your seismics down in one location and then the boss relocates like Uber Elder, then it's pretty annoying. So Ming's Heart is actually crazy affordable option for damage. And you can see here, this is Ming's Heart, gains 40 to 60% of physical damage as extra chaos damage, and that is actually huge. So if we want to see how this bossing playstyle actually looks like, so here's Jung doing the boss. And you can see here, this build is relatively... So he's doing the, what's it called? So this build is relatively tanky, and you could definitely see, well, it's not really that tanky if you run Ming's Heart, but you can see right here, all of the poison seismics come out, and right now the boss is getting poisoned, and he's just running around. He can dodge everything, take his time, and the boss is, well, this is a one divine build, right, for UBERS, but you can see the point is that very good bossing playstyle as long as your build has some sort of tankiness, and I think this was pretty much done with 3k HP. So this really tells you how much damage this build does, because he's doing it on one divine, and then imagine this build with 50% more damage or so. So it actually just melts the boss. You can actually see the boss's HP moving down pretty fast. So next up, we have Maul of Mischief Elementalist. Now this build was a build that I thought would be very popular lastly, but it turned out not to be the case. But I do think that this might be more popular because a lot of people are going to be going Wave of Conviction Ignite into EK Ignite. And if you want to do bosses, then you level with Wave of Conviction Ignite. So this is pretty much like Armageddon brand cremation. And you can actually finish the Atlas with Wave of Conviction Ignite. It's pretty fast. Now, this build, again, is also buffed due to curse changes, same as Seismic Trap. Now, you want to swap over from Wave of Conviction once you get Maul of Mischief. Now, this is a helmet that was designed by, I think it's Bex's helmet, and it grants you level 20 Death Wish. So what level 20 Death Wish does is, as you channel the spell, it spreads its effect to more of your minions. When you stop channeling, each affected minion explodes, and this skill deals spell damage around them. The explosion of the minion is not affected by modifiers to spell damage and cannot be reflected. So explosion deals fire damage equal to 13% of the minion's maximum life, and deal 10% more damage with hits and ailments per affected minion. Can affect up to 13 minions. So what this pretty much means is that you're summoning minions and then you're blowing the minions up. And you can do this with stone golems, you can do this with Herald of Purity, and I think this person also doing it with summon skeletons. So you are pretty much playing a playstyle that's very, very similar to Detonate Dead. Now, this playstyle is obviously not going to be the best mapping build, as we all know. Detonate Dead is a pretty annoying mapping playstyle, as it's a 2-button build. But you can do most of your Void Stone progression with Wave of Conviction. Now, the bright side about using this helmet is that you don't actually need a 6-link. So you can see here, this Death Wish ability will always be 5-link because you have the skill on your helmet. So each of the 4 sockets will give a link to the Death Wish skill. So you actually do not need a 6-link, which should help out a lot in your league start. So instead of buying a 6-link, you just need to save up money for the helmet. And this helmet shouldn't be too crazy expensive because there is a divination card that's relatively common that drops it. This build does scale its damage very, very easily. I think it's pretty trivial to get like 10 mil plus DPS with Ignite. And this will pretty much make farming Ubers a trivial task. So we want to see what the Uber farm looks like. And the playstyle, general playstyle, so this is Uber Maven. And this is and play on an elemental, so you can see summon some stuff, and then look at the Ignite DPS. It just blows it up, and you can see the boss has an Ignite, and it just does so much damage. Now this build is probably min-maxed a little bit more. He does, it seems like, have a Mage Blood, but basically the playstyle is very similar and is very, very comfy. Any Ignite build or any Poison build where you can just run away once you have attacked the boss or put down your totems or blow up the minions, the proc the Ignite, you'll see it's a very, very comfy playstyle. So let's see again. Blows up everything, and well, Maven went to the TP phase, And now he's doing the memory game. Slip forward a little bit. So where's Maven? He's doing another memory game, actually. Maven's coming out, full HP. Bam! Ignite proc. And you can just see the Maven burning. He's putting down Flame Surge. Well, he might die there because he got hit by something. But overall, you can see the playstyle. You run around circles after you blow up the minions and profit. So next up, we have a very, very similar build to the previous one. It is Explosive Arrow Champ / Elementalist. Now, this build has been around for a while and is pretty popular. In the past, it's got a little bit less popular because people are just sick of playing it for so many leagues in a row. However, it also got a slight buff with the curse changes, and this build revolves around totems inflicting a large ignite for stacking 20 fuses on the boss. Now, you can play this build on Elementalist, which will give you a lot more damage, or you can be a champion for more tankiness. If you are on softcore, I would highly recommend the Elementalist version because it's just that much more damage. Now, the endgame scaling can push this build to the dot cap, as you can see right here. There is a lot of scaling from this build. You can pump up the damage. You can see Ignite DPS 35 million. Now, mapping playstyle is kind of annoying. If you hate the totem playstyle, you have to backtrack for loot a lot if you want to play super fast. However, this totem playstyle that's bad for mapping is perfect for bossing, as you can set down on totems, you shoot your frenzy to build up frenzy charges, and then you just focus on dodging the boss mechanic, and that's all there is for it. And I also think that this build will be very, very good for doing the league mechanic because you could just put down totems, focus on dodging everything, and not getting resolve up. So the way that this build scales is it scales by gem levels, damage over time multiplier, and also flat elemental damage if you're Elementalist. Because when you're an Elementalist, you're actually able to, let's see here. So all your damage can ignite. So if you have cold damage, if you have lightning damage, all of that damage can ignite. Now, you do have to hit some breakpoints to hit for reaching a number of fuses. And this is pretty much saying that you have to get as much attack speed as possible so you can make sure that you could actually get up to 20 stages before the explosive arrow actually blows up. Now, overall, what do I think you should play? I mean, hands down, I think you should play Seismic Trap. There's really no reason not to play it if you really care about playing the best. And I do think that it's going to be the best. Now, I want to make sure you enjoy the playstyle of the build before choosing a league starter. So even though Seismic Trap might be the best, if you don't enjoy the trap playstyle or totem playstyle or the 2-button playstyle of Maul of Mischief, then you're not going to enjoy the build a lot. So make sure you can distinguish between whether you like a league starter because it's the strongest build possible, or you like a league starter because you like the skill that's being played. And some people will only like a build because they like it that's the strongest ever and it's enough for them. But some people really can't take it even if the skill is strong. Now, Seismic, I do believe will get nerfed in 3.21. I do know it's copium, but I do really believe it might get nerfed if they see a increase in playstyle. I do know that GGG is not nerfing Seismic Trap because it's not played so-called by the community, and nerfing it will only be for streamers and SSF hardcore players. But I do believe if the softcore players play Seismic Trap enough, we will get a Seismic Trap nerf. Now, bossing does reward speed through the campaign and atlas progression, so make sure if you're choosing a bossing build, you're not absolute turtle if you want to use bossing to make money. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more meters, exalted orbs, and divines than me. And see you next time. Bye. Good night. Or not good night, but bye.